You know,
Yeah.
I mean, to get to 9/11, it's a complex thing. It's a lot of work to do. And you might think that you are disciplined if you just sit down and do that work. But there is such a thing as having flow in your work, and to just sit down and mindlessly doing it. You know, it's, let's just say it's not going to work. It just isn't. Let's say that you sit down and do it because, you know, you think people will like you for it. That's not going to work. You sit down and do it because then you will survive the apocalypse. It's not going to work. So you might think that you have discipline if you just sit down and do it for any reason whatsoever, but you would rather have discipline if you sit down and recognize if this is something you truly want, which you would eventually recognize that it is, because you well, you would at least hopefully get somewhat in tune with your soul and what you're here to do and what you deep within truly want to do, right? Which would be to reach 9/11 and be free. And that would be discipline, you know, because it's we're talking about a essential rule of the game to have the to have the flow from doing things for the right reason. You know, if you just go for it, I mean, you're not even resonating with the knowledge you're going to gain, or the knowledge you need to gain. You're resonating then at that point with maybe just the essential knowledge you need for you to truly think that people will like you now because you are on the journey, you know, or whatever other reason you were doing it for. But I mean, there should be one reason to do all of this work, and you can have, if you can have discipline in recognizing that reason, you know, then you could resonate with all of the knowledge and the frequency you would gain on that journey. And the reason would, of course, be that that's what you're here to do. That is who you are, right? And it would be the strongest, most potent reason ever. There is no other reason that could potentially let you resonate with all of the different aspects of empowerment that you would gradually gain than the best, most core, essential, truthful reason there is, which is that this is who you are, this is what you're here to do, right? And discipline would mean to sit down and do it for that reason. But also on all of these times throughout the day where you are doing work that would be considered breakthroughs or real frequency jumps, you know, instead of just sitting down and well, for example, hoping that that will happen, or just thinking that it will happen, just outside of what your intention is, then discipline would rather be that you're intending for it and you're taking the essential and necessary uh, rules into consideration so that you can have success with it, right? What goes around comes around. So you are intending to have success with it, and it is for the right reason, and you know that you will have success with it. You know that you will gain the frequency and the clarity, right? That would be discipline, to play the game by the rules, right? Well, I'm saying that discipline is a wide, it's a big chapter. Of course, there are more things to take into consideration, but I'm saying you need to follow the rules. And of course, you would need some high level of consciousness to understand what that means too, but discipline would then be to sit down and understanding those things. You are the moment, you are joy, you are happiness, which would mean that you need to be those things, and you need to be in those things while approaching this frequency jumps throughout the day. To not just sit down and do them while you are frustrated, but then rather be disciplined and return back to the moment, neutral, take a deep breath and relax and refocus and work on your strategy, right? So yeah, discipline. I mean, it's not what you often would think. It's rather about these finer details that are going to truly determine the results you're going to have from the work you're doing. It's not about actually just doing the work, because you might not resonate with the success. But if you can understand what we said there, I'm not saying it was the best explanation ever, but if you understand it, then you have truly tapped into an essential thing that is going to give you all the success ever. I mean, let's say that right now there is one thing that you want to do. It is maybe 20 things you want to do, but they all exist on different places on a ladder. There is one thing that you really want to do right now. I'm not talking about your avatar and your subconscious or your misconceptions or your illusions. I'm talking about your soul. There is one thing you want to do right now. One thing that you want to do the most. And often you might encounter those things that are on ladder place number 5 instead of number 1. And it could be you're laying down to meditate on something and you get this idea of that you should be thinking about this and figuring this out, but you don't really feel like it and it feels a little draining. Well, then it's fine. You don't need to do that. That would be discipline. To not lay there and drain yourself and feel upset about it and overworked and tired. And I mean, it's just you would have discipline if you recognized that it's very limiting what levels of success you could possibly have with that type of approach, in that type of mindset and state of being, right? So then, at that point when you get so frustrated, the thing that your soul probably definitely wants to the most is just return back to the moment. Can you then have discipline to just return back to the moment and just forget about that thing? You don't need to think about it now. If that later becomes the thing that you truly should think about because you truly are going to get success with that, then it will come to mind and it will feel joyful and nice to solve that mystery, right? But yeah, you return back to the moment at that point, and maybe it will come to mind what you should enjoy the most thinking about or doing right now. Of course, it might be just taking a walk or taking the bike and go for a little trip or, eat an ice cream or watch a movie, but, you just need to stay aware of that. If it feels kind of draining, but at the same time, you know that it's an important consciousness issue that you're thinking about here, it would be very beneficial and nice to get to understand it completely, but it feels draining. Well, it's just not the right time. Have discipline to just be fine with that and go on to something else. Yeah, and who knows, maybe in 5 minutes it would be the right time. Maybe you should go and rest a little first, right? I mean, you never know. I mean, the right time to have success with that issue might be very soon. But you recognize now that it is not at this point because you're getting so tired thinking about it. How could you have great success then? I mean, it's going to be joyful to get the clarity.
Wouldn't that also then be not forcing it, but
Yeah.
inviting?
Yeah, and being fine with getting getting to it, getting to work on that thing when it just feels right, when it feels joyful and whatever. And that can be in a second. You can learn to manipulate those things. You can understand that they're all just a frequency which goes up and down and up and down, and you can learn to jump on the wave that will come in a microsecond, right? So you can deal with anything when your frequency is high enough, you know. Then it's more up to you. You can manipulate it a little, but you will figure that out when you're ready for it. Kind of.
What do you mean with waves?
Well,
Are you
well, I mean that essentially, let's just say every microsecond or every second or every 10 seconds, but it's up to you. Let's say every microsecond. And especially with things that are kind of essential and important to you, and real problem solvings that would benefit your frequency, you always have the potential of resonating with doing those things now or in a microsecond, right? So you're aware of that is an issue that you want to work with. You intend to be ready to work with it now, and then bam, you will be in joy and happiness and uh, or preparedness to have success with working with that in a microsecond. And it's a truly real experience of being fully prepared to having success with it, and you will probably have success with it, or you will for sure if you will.
but don't you need to be on the highest frequency to be able to
Well, maybe not.
play
I mean,
like that?
I mean, maybe with more advanced things, but if I asked you now if you want cake, you could say no, and you get to think about it for a second. You know, then you suddenly really want cake.
But also if you think about something, then you're creating it in your mind. And
Well,
then
of course, it depends on how you're thinking about it, right?
yeah,
So now you recognize that, oh yeah, this issue, but it's a little heavy to think about right now, right? But wow, it would be so beneficial to have figured it out. And I know I could figure it out. And essentially, if I lay down and just work with it for a couple of minutes, I could have completely raised the frequency within that issue and overcome it. And then, that issue isn't present anymore. Then I rather have it like this, and now you're getting motivated, inspired, and you're starting to tap into the joy and the success of that you're going to have with dealing with that problem, right? So yeah, anything is possible. I mean, just because it doesn't feel right now, then you can make it right? Or just wait till it naturally is right, you know. Yeah,
is
it can of course just be your mindset about it at that point, the first interaction with that idea that yeah, you can solve this problem now. Maybe just calm down a little, intend to be in the right mindset to deal with it.
so you're saying there is just a constant stream of those waves
Yeah,
and
with everything. You need to take the trash out now. But that probably doesn't sound interesting, right? But you should do it in joy, right? You shouldn't go out in rage and be so tired of this trash and but that joy is a microsecond away, but you need to have discipline in the whole game you're going to play where we're going to learn to be in joy all the time. You cannot just go out and do it in rage, or not rage. Let's not be extreme, but be upset about it. So then you intend to, okay, I recognize that I have to go out and take the trash, right? But it feels boring. well, I mean, intend to be enjoyable about it. And if you want to have some extra ideas about it, that, oh, well, then it's done, and the trash car will come and take care of it, and the trash will be gone, and it will be clean and nice here. There won't be a bunch of trash. And then I can do something else afterwards. I mean, whatever floats your boat, really. I mean, you just should stay in joy.
So then you have discipline to wait till
Yeah,
it's the right
yeah,
time to do it,
yeah,
or
that's
to
discipline.
intend.
Yeah. What was that other key? The next we're going to upload, I think.
Let's see. Phases. About
Yeah,
phases.
yeah, that is such a good one. Yeah, but you see, that's a phase, to not master discipline. Most people would go through their entire life, doing things while they are upset and whatever. It's just a phase. You can overcome that phase relatively quickly now. Just stop up a little before you do things and prepare yourself to do it. And know that you should do it in joy, right? Maybe what would it be like to do that thing in joy? And just stop up. Stop up a lot. Just stop up after everything you do. And just learn to get that next level of awareness.
Not be in a hurry anymore to do things,
Yeah,
because that is a big issue, that you are just in a hurry to
yeah,
do things,
that can be.
to just
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be that you're not even here. Kinda. That it's just autopilot, and there is no recognition of what you want in life, which is to live a happy, joyful life. Right? And what if all of the 1,000 things you are going to do today was going to be in not in joy, not in happiness? You're going to be a little upset with all of those things. Right now, when you sit up from the chair, or you change your position in the chair, or you go down to make coffee, or you turn on the TV, or you take a walk, or you take out the trash, or you put on your shoes. I mean, you're doing so many things in a day, right? What if all of them could be done in joy? But that's a big leap from not doing them in joy, or just doing some of them in joy, right? You might think that it's only the big things that are going to be done in joy, right? It can be nice to put on your shoes or anything, but it's not that experience in itself necessarily is going to be so exciting, even though you could, of course, say that it's a pleasure being here in life, and you get to rearrange yourself in the chair, right? And your legs work, so it's not a hassle, it's a nice experience, right? But joy should be the essence of your experience in every now moment. And to achieve that, then you need to be really aware of all of the things that you normally do outside of joy. And and it's real work. It takes real dedication, which is going to be impossible to do unless it's something you really want. Right? So have discipline first in figuring out what you really want. And it's not like you would have the biggest desire ever to be in such extreme levels of joy and happiness while you're repositioning yourself in the chair. It's deeper than that. You want to be on the highest frequency. You want to win the game and be powerful and have awareness of what you're doing and what is going on, and you want to have control of yourself so you can control it and truly be in charge of your life experience, and to not step in a bunch of unfortunate mindsets and traps and low frequency things. Yeah, the discipline. I mean, that's such an essential thing. Because I can tell you now that the last three couple of keys are so important, even though they all are, but they are so. I mean, you can't be powerful whatsoever unless you have a great level of consciousness about these things. But you can't just sit down and force yourself to getting that level of clarity. So if you can have discipline in your approach, discipline in your recognition that they are essential, discipline in how you intend to have the right moment in the day, the right time where you sit down and truly get to understand them, right? Discipline. Because if you sit down now and if you just acted on my suggestion that sit down once a day and read each of them, right? It's not necessarily going to do you anything whatsoever, right? But if you have discipline, you follow the rules, right? That you allow yourself to resonate with that highest level of clarity about them. You resonate, you allow yourself to sit down and do it in happiness and joy, and knowing that it's possible for you to fully understand it. I mean, it's just a big picture. You can see that big picture, right? So that discipline of those things instead of just sitting down, and because you could sit down for years and look at it and you would remain at the same place, right? I mean, it's possible. But it's possible to really understand it too, and it's kind of up to you if you're going to have that experience, right? And you would need discipline. You need to follow the rules, right? With all of the keys and with your approach to this whole raising your frequency thing, everything, of course.
So, what are the keys then, and how they should be used?
The keys.
Yeah.
The keys are just a reminder of what you have already learned now that you finally are on a high frequency. So it's not really that powerful for someone that is on lower frequency. I mean, how could it be? But if you read the first keys, which remind you that this needs to be something that you really want, right? Um, and to be someone who do what you are here to do, you know, then you could tap into the one and only thing that you would need to really get there yourself, and you will encounter all of these essential pieces of consciousness that are mentioned in the keys, right? Discipline and whatever it should be. But of course, the keys aren't going to work for someone that don't want to reach 9/11, right? So if you really want it, if you're determined, the keys can be super helpful, even though you will encounter all of these things yourself. But they are really good. They are super essential. They are they are about the most important things you will know and experience as a high frequency source players. It's about the choices you will make. It's about the mindsets you will have.
So, how are they intended to be used then?
Well, first and foremost, you need to be someone who really wants to reach 9/11, and then you use them in the same way as you would use any other information. You could watch any random video on YouTube right now, and they would contain a lot of things to reflect on, and it could really raise your frequency. It's just that you could always choose some better content to look at and spend your time with and reflect on. And the keys are just like all of that, it's just that you would sit and reflect on the essential things instead of just what you resonated with finding in a random YouTube video, right? You could listen to Free Floating Air Balloon, or you could watch Judy, or you could watch Infinite Source Truth, or you could look at the keys, right? And if you do all of them, then you are more likely to succeed in this game than someone that didn't find any of this content, right? So you're just meant to really want to reach 911, and then you can read the keys and kind of for sure get there in 1 year compared to 10 years, right? It's just going to make your day much more successful in your frequency rising than what it would be if you maybe didn't have the keys, right? Just sit down and read them and take them in and be and have discipline about it.